I'm okay with like differing opinions a lot with even the people that I'm with because it creates like good conversation and you kind of like learn a little bit more about yourself when you do disagree. So if I have an echo chamber, I'm not learning anything. So like, for example, I used to date this girl who she was so scared of losing me. So she wanted to be this perfect girl, like this perfect girlfriend, even though I'm in shambles. So if I said something, she goes, I agree with you. If I said something, I'm like, hold on a second. And I remember I had this conversation with her, and this was one of the biggest reasons why I dumped her, was because like I was like, you know, we've been together for 10 months now, and I don't know you. And she's like, why? And I was like, because everything you say, you agree with. She goes, I was like, and I genuinely don't think you agree with this stuff. I was like, you are so scared to be yourself because you're afraid that I'm going to leave you if you and I butt heads. And she goes, I just want to be a good girlfriend. And I'm like, that's not being a good girlfriend.
Right.
Like you are not, I don't own you. You are your individual self. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. Most likely, it's not Christmas, but it will be soon. But for your Christmas gift, I brought you Alex Reid. I have been wanting to get you on this podcast for a long time. I've just been super fucking lazy. And when I finally asked you, you said yes, so I'm super happy. Alex, I have 1,000 questions for you. So many questions because... Well, for me, like I listened to Korean music a lot since I was a kid. You know, contrary to what a lot of people think on this podcast, people think I hate fucking Korean music in general. Not true.
Why would you hate that?
Well, it's just because I don't like a lot of the music that's out now. It's not.
Oh, okay.
Like, and we, you know, when I was growing up as a kid, like all that stuff was just, you know, company generated pop music, you know, and it still is now. But there was a lot of like artists that I really liked, right?
Yeah.
So I was like a huge fan of all those like boy groups. There was, you know, H.O.T., Shinhwa, there was G.O.D.
You headed back.
Oh, I'm talking about way back.
Whoa.
So when I was a kid, I used to have everybody's posters on my wall. I had the SES posters, the Finkel posters, all this other shit.
So you feel like it was like more legit, like more creatively sound back then?
I think back then it was just they were figuring their stuff out. I mean, the music is way better now for sure, especially in terms of like production and like Korean people kind of working their own identity.
Yeah.
So nowadays, like, I don't listen to a lot of it. So, like, for example, so in Hawaii, there's this store called Kpop and Friends. Okay. And my lady is a huge fan of BTS. I don't know any of these motherfuckers. I don't know any of their fucking names.
How is that even possible?
I don't know shit about them.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, I know they're fucking popular, but I don't know anything. So in my mind, I went to the store and I go, hi, I want to get some BTS stuff. And then the person looked at me like, oh, you're a fan. I was like, no, I am not. My lady is. So just give me some BTS stuff. She goes, well, each member has their own thing. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, well, this person, Jimin and Yoongi, and see, now I know their names.
That's good.
And Jimin, Yoongi, and this one who has a poop emoji as a fucking character. And so I didn't know that they had their individual like little characters and animals. And it sells like hotcakes.
It's called branding. I mean, that is branding too. Like K-pop, that's to me one of the hugest differences between Korean pop and American pop, like outside of it being in different languages, is like the sheer attention to detail and the really intricate and careful and thoughtful branding. I think fans like thoughtful branding. You know, it's like we appreciate that you put in time and we're gonna buy it.
So they had like these, like, it's like Kakao Friends. It's like one of their things, right? Jungkook, that's the other guy's name. Yeah. See, I know this shit. And so like I was just gonna pick random stuff and the person's like, hold on. You can't just pick random things. Who's her favorite members? And I'm like, well, now I can't fucking surprise her. So I had to fucking message her. I was like, hey, who's your favorite members? She goes, why? What are you doing? I got her this thing. They had like a memorabilia bag with all their signatures on it. And she was freaking the fuck out.
That's amazing.
Like, you know, when I walk away from a long trip, you don't ever look at me like this. So what the fuck ever. But she enjoyed it though. So for people who don't know who Alex is, Alex, who are you?
I'm Alex Reid. I'm an artist. I was like the first Black K-pop idol, you know, no Asian descent, and that hadn't been done before. And I was just a really big K-pop fan. And so when I got that opportunity, I headed over there. And now, you know, I just consider myself just an artist in general, you know, an international artist. And I'm a writer and dancer and all things creative.
The thing that I'm curious about is this, right? Like I'm a Korean guy, but
you are?
Yes. Very Korean. Girl, like, girl, you better stop. But I'm so curious about, number one, How did you even get into the Korean music space?
Yeah, so it was really random. Like, I actually feel like it's the most fateful thing. Like, if you don't believe in fate and then you hear the story, you're like, okay. So my first introduction to like Korean culture was when my family hosted a Korean exchange family, which is funny because people are like, what is a Korean exchange family? And I'm like looking back like, yeah, that is a little weird. Like, we did have a whole family. Like, it wasn't just the students. We had like a mom.
Oh!
It was like a mom, a son, a daughter, and then even their uncle came at some point. And so that was like my first introduction to Korean culture, and I just started getting interested. So then my attention was up when I heard about K-pop. Ivy was the first artist. You remember Ivy?
Yeah.
So Sonata of Temptation, that was like the first thing I saw. And at that point, it was old. But to me, it was like, whoa, like this is so fresh and new. And then I look at the date, and I'm like, wait, what? This has been around? And I just like went down this K-pop rabbit hole, and I was just obsessed. And like, at that time, K-pop wasn't like a legitimate genre here. It wasn't like, you got made fun of. Like, people were like, what? Like, what is this girl? Like, especially me, like, of all people, they're like, what is this? You like boys wearing makeup? Like, they would say all sorts of mean stuff, So I just kind of kept it to myself. Like, I was just like a down low little K-pop fan. And then I moved out here, and I had signed record deals. I was on Def Jam and publishing deal with Sony, and just like making my own album and doing my own thing. And then I ended up in the studio, and there was a writing camp, like a song camp going on for K-pop. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, how? Like, this is random. Like, this is cool. And I kind of just thought it was my opportunity to make an impression and maybe be a go-to songwriter for K-pop, because a lot of the songs are written in English and then translated into Korean. So as a writer, you didn't have to know Korean or anything like that. So I thought that was my big opportunity, and I was trying to really nail it. I left a rap on the bridge because I thought that would like kind of set it apart, since most writers just leave the bridge open. Mm-hmm. So I thought I was setting myself apart, and I was, just not in the way I thought. The A&R was like, would you ever consider joining a K-pop group?
How random.
Yes, so random. And at that point, we had had a lot of discussion like during the session. And so I thought something had gotten lost in translation. I thought he thought I was maybe part Asian.
Yeah.
Because I'm like that. We were just talking about how there's, other parts of Asia, there's idols from, different places, Japan and, but, they're not all Korean, but they were all from Asia. So I was very confused when he asked me that. And my response, I was like, I'm not Asian.
Yeah.
That's literally what I said. Yeah. And I was like, when it came out, I was like, oh my God, why did I say that? Yeah. Like, but I really was thinking that he thought, I thought it was a horrible misunderstanding. And he was like laughing, and he's like, yeah. He's like,
I know.
I know.
Yeah, like, no shit.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I know that. He said that like his boss had been wanting to diversify the industry for a while, and they just hadn't found the right person. And they had another girl that they were kind of considering at that time. So then I ended up just auditioning via Skype for the boss. Like, of course, I was like, yes, like immediately. But at the same time, I didn't want to seem overly eager.
Yeah.
You know?
We always have to do that, right?
Right.
I was like, yeah, I love it. And inside you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah. I was just trying to play, because I didn't want them to think I was a fangirl either. And it would just be like, okay, well, we can't have like just this like crazy K-pop fan like intruding, like invading the industry. So I just kind of like played it off like, oh yeah, like K-pop's cool. Yeah, like we can.
I dabble.
I dabble, right?
A little bit.
Like what we worked on today was fun.
Yeah.
So I kind of just played it cool, and as soon as I got the go ahead, I was out there like 2 weeks later, maybe 10 days. No, I think I was out there 2 weeks later, and then I think I debuted 10 days later. It was very fast.
That's fucking fast as shit.
Yeah, it was actually like looking back. The pressure was so intense. But when you're like in a high pressure situation, you don't really have a choice but to just do it. You don't really think about it. So at the time, I was kind of just in like autopilot, like, okay, I'm going to be debuting. My dream is coming true in 10 days. Like,
yeah. I got to do this.
I got to do this. So I was writing my parts for the album. I was recording my parts for the album. I was shooting my separate part for the music video because they already had the music video for the comeback done. Mm-hmm. And so they just inserted like my part into it. It was wild. Like, I don't know if it was stress or what, but I threw up like during the music video shoot. I guess I looked a little funny, and the director was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And he goes, okay, rolling, whatever, action. As soon as he said action, I just, all over. And I just think the stress had gotten to me.
That is fucking crazy.
It was crazy.
So when you're, did you have, I mean, for a K-pop star, there's so much things that you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's the whole public appearance aspect of it, which, you know, in any type of like Asian pop, it's a huge part of it. I say it's like fucking 80% of the job.
Yeah.
Like your image, who you are, what people perceive you as to be. So for you, like, did you already have like a background in dancing and stuff too? Because you have to do every fucking thing.
Yeah. So that was the plus, was that I had already been like, I'm really disciplined as it is. Like when it comes to my craft, like whatever I do, I really go hard. So even now I dance every single day. So at that time I was dancing 6 hours a day anyway. And so that was one thing that the head of the company really liked. He's like, oh, she's already training. Like we don't have to put her through training because she's already signed. Like she, you know, has released music, has worked with big artists. Plus I was, you know, dancing all the time. So he's like, oh, you know, she's good to go. Which for me, it was like, now that I look back, it's like, no, I was not good to go. Like, I was not good to go.
Was the choreo pretty easy to learn?
The choreo was fine. Yeah, the choreo was easy to learn. But I had drama. Like I had so much drama, like with the choreographer, first off. I never talked about this actually, but I had big drama with the choreographer.
Really?
Yeah. Like it was wild. And it was so crazy. My book, I have a book. I've been writing a book and it's going to be so good when it comes out. It's just, it spills all of it. But yeah, so basically, I think the point of why I should have trained was because there were the intangibles that I was missing. Like maybe singing and dancing was cool, but I didn't understand like the temperament that I was supposed to have as an idol.
What do you mean?
You're supposed to be more like soft-spoken and like maybe not voicing your opinions at all times and maybe not like being so direct with the boss. Like I had a great relationship with the head of the company, like the one who I auditioned for. He was cool. Like he was kind of a K-pop rebel. And so we just hit it off. He always wanted to hear my ideas. But of course I had to rely on translation to get my ideas to him because he didn't speak any English. I didn't speak any Korean. So it was a mess. Like it was truly a mess. Like to not speak any Korean. Like
so with the choreographer, when they were just, was it a guy or a girl?
A girl.
She just didn't like you?
Yeah. She was crazy.
Just off jump.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What did she do?
Whoo! What didn't she do? No. Let me just say that there were surgeries.
Oh.
We'll just say that until my book comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just say it was intense and I wasn't, like I said, my temperament wasn't what it needed to be. And I came in like, if something wasn't cool, I was coming from a perspective of I'm going to stand up for myself and I'm going to stand up for everybody else. Like, and slowly I learned that all that did was cause more and more problems. Like they're not going to let you do that. Like they're not going to let you, you know.
Like Japanese, Korean, or even like Taiwanese, Chinese, like company culture, it's very hierarchical. So it's like there's a hierarchy to this. Like you don't speak out of turn. Like my lady, she told me this story where when she worked at and she talked about it on the podcast too, where you worked at a Japanese company and that was in the States, but the conglomerate is in Japan. Well, those people came over to the States and she was working for this food company and she's basically kind of running like the American division for this restaurant. She's the management. They're talking and she's in this meeting as well. And then she's letting these guys know like, oh, this is what's happening. They look at her and they go, you're a woman, you don't speak.
Said that?
Yeah. And then she was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then obviously the people who are like the American Japanese people like took the guy's side. Like, you can't speak to people like that here. Right?
Yeah.
But she was like, fuck this company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to like I'm not sure how it is now, and I'm pretty sure it's getting better from what I've heard from like other people, but probably the time, which was only like, how many years ago? Like 5-6 years ago?
Yeah.
Which wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And it's probably still like that now, probably a little bit better, but they have a huge problem with people who they believe are under them talking back to them.
Yes.
In any type of form, whether it's constructive, whether it's positive, if it's out of turn, they fucking hate it.
Yes.
And they will do everything they can to put you in your place.
Yes. And I didn't know that that's what was happening. That's the crazy part. Is I'm like, why am I getting punished all the time? Why am I getting this weird treatment? And I really didn't understand that it was like, first off, they didn't like that I felt friendly with the boss. Like, that was already a problem. Yeah, like, why is this girl who just got here just addressing the boss like she can talk to him anytime she wants and say anything she wants to say? I didn't know that was a problem.
Yeah.
Learned that was a problem. Then also I learned that, yeah, like if somebody even older than you or like higher in the hierarchy of, you know, the idols down here, you know, in the company, it's like everyone's above you. So if something is done to you that genuinely warrants an apology, you should not be asking for one.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that. I'm like, why isn't she apologizing? I'm like, that was wild.
Yeah.
Like, my clothes came, it was crazy. Like, I didn't have clothes that fit me, and I had a wardrobe malfunction. Speaking of wardrobe malfunctions, how are we doing? Okay, we're good. I looked down, I saw a little too much. Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, why isn't anybody addressing it or, like, saying, yeah, that wasn't cool. Like, we're sorry about that. And so, you know, I brought that up, and they're like, no.
Oh,
no one is going to say sorry. I was like, okay, but, like, we can acknowledge that was bad, right?
Shit,
that
my
was
mom
messed
hasn't
up.
said sorry to me ever, so.
Really?
Yeah. My mom has never said the word sorry. She's openly admitted it. She goes like, I've never said sorry in my life. She goes, I'm not starting today. I'm like, oh, okay. That's cool.
That's so funny. I feel like I love saying sorry. Like, I love knowing that we cleared it. Like, I love, like, if I wronged somebody, once that sorry is said and accepted, like, not that I would wrong someone on purpose, but, you know, if something happens where it's like, yeah, I need to say sorry. I love that feeling. You say sorry, they accept it.
Well, you're the only woman on earth who's ever said that. All the comments are coming and I don't give a fuck. No. But wow, all these guys are like, who the fuck is this girl? She's saying sorry. No, but when I had a conversation with my dad about this, and then we were talking about like why Korean men of his generation are the way that they are, right? So, you know, and even then, like maybe not his generation per se, but a little bit after him too. And it, like, he was kind of describing it as like it's like this generational trauma that's brought down and how they communicate and tell each other things, right? So, you know, people also don't realize, like, in Korea, even like 20 years ago, right? Korea was advancing technologically, but because of the war, which wasn't that long ago for us, for them either, like, Korea is one of those countries that had to really, like, you know, just strap up and then fucking really progress.
Absolutely.
Because after they got wrecked, they have like this like trauma. So the Daetjeongnyeon at the time, like the president, was like, okay, well, the most important thing to us right now is education. That's why you see, like, in Korea, everything is about education, no matter what the fuck it is. Like, education is that fucking important. Where you come from, the level of education you have is directly correlated to how you're treated and how they view you.
Right.
So it started from that Reformation. And then beyond that, like, he was talking about how, you know, when I was a kid and like the way your grandfather used to treat me and how I treated you is also a reflection of the hard times that I grew up in, right? So there's a hardcore military culture. So the way they would teach other people, like in the military or even beyond that, was like literally like treating them like shit. So if they wanted to get something out of somebody, they would be like, they would have them like tegarepago, which is like you would just be on your feet and your head with your hands behind your back, and you would, you know, balance your head and your feet together as a form of punishment, and it's like a sign of respect. And so this is how they would communicate, and it transfers over and over. So that type of stuff is still within company culture.
Right.
It's like, and generationally, it's just going to get better and better and better. You know, now when you see in Korea, like when I went there, this year in spring, and I haven't been there since I was 14, and the country is different. Like if I look at my pictures from where I, like in Sacramento or LA or whatever, 10 years ago from now or 20 years ago, it looks generally the same.
Yeah.
Korea looks different. It's like somebody took me into a time capsule like 200 years into the future.
Wow.
So it's weird how now I see individualism in Korea.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, I specifically remember this. I looked around and I told my mom, why does everybody dress the same? Right. Why does everybody look the same? The haircut's the same, they dress the same. What the fuck is going on? Well, now when I went there now, whether it's because of globalization or the internet, these motherfuckers dress differently. Like some people are dressed like right now the hot thing is to dress like fucking like 60s, like Grease Lightning, John Travolta type of shit with the rolled up t-shirt with the high-waisted fucking faded jeans.
Right. Okay,
it's like the hot thing right now. I saw all like the young kids like in Hongdae wearing that shit.
Yeah.
But then you still see some people a little more conservative, some people wearing like streetwear shit.
Yeah.
But it's all a little different. Everybody's wearing different shoes. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
See, when I was there, that was one of the things I noticed was I was like, everyone's wearing the same shoes, the same jacket.
Same
so
hairstyle.
I'm actually going at the end of the month.
Okay.
And so I'm really excited now that you're saying this. I'm excited to see even the change from when I was there until now, because I think, well, also coming from LA where everyone is so, unique and individual and all that, going there, I just felt this huge focus on the unit, huge focus on the group. And I noticed that just me dressing differently and being so different was such a big deal. It was so like, what? She's so weird. Like what? And for me, I'm like, I'm not doing anything super crazy, but I just know that the focus over there was on the unit. And I think special treatment, no good. Too much individuality, too much speaking your mind was not good. And I'm only speaking within my K-pop, company experience. So I don't know how that represents Korea on a whole, like if we're talking about the macrocosm of the situation, but I know that within my experience within the company, it was all very much like everybody has to fall in line and be, a unit. But when I looked around, I'm like, everyone has on the same jacket and the same shoes.
That's how it was. Like legit. I'm like, that's not even an exaggeration. And the weird thing is like,
and the same haircut too.
Same fucking haircut, same everything. Girls wear the makeup exactly the same.
Yes.
Which you still see that now, but it's not as much as it was before. And it was just very refreshing to see like a youth kind of find themselves in a space that's not like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like they were expressing themselves like as individuals. So like, oh, look at this shit. This is kind of fucking nice. And it was a big detraction of what my vision of what Korea was, obviously when I was younger, when I was 14 years old. And just to see kind of like maybe what the internet has done to them is really great, right?
Yes.
And then obviously like when you see a lot of foreigners in Korea, which we always had a lot of foreigners in Korea, but now it's like, you see them and they're kind of thriving out there.
Right.
So it's a bit different. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's kind of enjoyable. Probably a lot different from when you were there,
I think so, because I saw it's also where I was. Like I always have to remember that I wasn't living in Korea for most of the time I was there. I wasn't living, I was working and I was in this, it was really crazy. I was in a bubble, I was really living in a bubble. So I have to take into account that what I experienced is maybe not representative of everything else. But I did feel at that time like extreme differences in the way that individualism was perceived and in the way that, people looked at you if you were branching out. Like I felt eyes. I always felt
like, what are you doing? Like get back in place.
Yeah. I always felt that. And that's actually a big theme in my book is how I saw like kind of my individuality transfer out to other members of the group, and how I also, when I was out of the K-pop realm, like after I quit the group, I was still in Korea for about a month. And that's when I actually got to immerse myself in Korea and meet other people and do all that. And I actually realized the positive side of the focus on the unit as opposed to the individual. And I understood how things that I perceived as like judgment were really just coming from a place of inquisitiveness.
Yeah.
Or just never seeing it and wondering what they were seeing. But when I was in the bubble, I just felt so judged, you know.
Especially like when you're in countries too, where I feel like sometimes like with Americans, when they go to another country, they have like these their perception of what that country should be is based on what their life is in America. And that's like the hard part to explain. Like I was watching this video online where they were interviewing a bunch of people who lived in Japan, right? And they're all foreigners, whether they're from America, whether they're from Australia or whatever, whatnot.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that they said, and they weren't being malicious or anything, right? But because the question that they were asking is like, what do you hate about Japan? And the stuff that they don't like about Japan that they wish they could change is like, you want to change this about Japan because you're trying to turn Japan into America.
Right, and it's
or
not.
Australia.
Right.
And it's not that.
Yes.
So what you dislike about this culture isn't something that's wrong with the culture. It's wrong with your perception about what another place should be based on what you want.
Right, exactly.
And so
there's no should. It's like, based on what something should be. I always say there's no should. It's not should. It's what it is. And if that doesn't work for you, then you don't have to be there. But that doesn't mean that there's a fault in the place for being what it is.
Yeah. And so, like, for example, we were talking about the idea of, being a whole unit, right? Well, yeah, in terms of like your individuality, there's a part where, you feel like you get sucked out. But the part of like where you think of things like holistically, like as a huge group in a unit, you think very altruistically. Like you think about your neighbor, you think about how they feel.
Absolutely.
What you're doing. Like that's why you see places like Korea, or Japan. It's a lot cleaner than other places.
Yes.
Because when you throw trash on your floor, that's your country. This is your land. This is a representation of yourself.
Yes.
And so when I was in Korea, one of the things that I really enjoyed, and I felt this way about a lot of the places that I was at, and I got to ask questions. And I was like, oh, everybody's so nice here. And they go, and 4 or 5 people said this to me. They're like, well, when foreigners come to Korea, us as store owners and shop owners, we want people leaving this place knowing how great our country is.
I love that.
And so I don't hear that here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
they don't care.
That's probably not everybody.
It kind of is. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's like, there's a positive and negative to it, right? Where sometimes where you have a country like Korea who is so, ethnically or Koreanly like so centric that sometimes having an outsider feels odd to them, right?
Yes.
It feels like a piece of them is disappearing.
Yes.
And I've seen that a lot where, a lot of GIs will marry, a Korean person and they find out they get a little sad because they didn't marry a Korean person. And then what I started to understand was that they start to see a little bit of their country disappear,
I see that.
which I understand to a certain extent. Like Korea or any other country is not like America. This is not like a melting pot.
Right.
And I kind of like places that aren't so ethnically like diverse. And I know that sounds really bad. It's because sometimes I want to go visit a country where it's just like one thing. And I could go back to my lovely land.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I don't think that's a fault of their own. It's great that they're being a lot more inclusive or whatever, but sometimes too, like when I see other like Korean guys or Korean girls and they refuse to like learn the language or the culture, but at the same time they post like, I'm so proud to be Korean. And I'm like, that's great. You know nothing about where you're from. Is this just lip service because it's on social media? Or do you really want to know what it's like to be your countryman, right? And I was born in Korea, but I only came here when I was 2. So a lot of my stuff was self-discovery later on as I got older.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize like, let's see why this is so important to my parents, right? And I'm like, like I thoroughly enjoy being Korean. So sometimes when people see their culture disappear, it makes them a little sad.
Yeah.
Yes,
for sure. And also, I mean, looking at the history and taking into account that when you're oppressed as a people and when you're held down and, all you have is to lift each other up is each other.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And so it's like you would be very wary of others. You'd be very wary of others trying to take down your identity when that's already been done to you before.
Yeah.
And trying to like snuff you out. Like you would be like, that would go on for generations. And that's one of the things that I realized was when I say that they're very focused on the unit and the group as opposed to the individual, I mean, it comes from having to be. It comes from like, they were, being oppressed. They were trying to be like destroyed and snuffed out. And all they had was to focus on, okay, this is us and this is how we're going to pull ourselves out of this. Not to mention, there were really no like natural resources. It was really literally like we have to work together, bond together and work, to pull ourselves up.
Yeah.
And essentially recreate.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing too, like
our identity, our nation.
Like the Korean experience and the Korean American experience is so different, And I think sometimes too, like there are listeners here who are like from Korea and they're like, that's not how Korean people are. I'm like, listen here, you stupid fuck. Like I'm Korean American. You know what I mean? I'm talking about my Korean American experience, you fucking dumb fuck. But that's their Korean pride speaking. That's not how it is in Korea. Didn't say Korea, dummy. I said here as a Korean American that grew up in Sacramento, California, you fuck face, go fuck yourself. God bless you.
God bless you.
Is that fucking Korean rage and pride just won't shut the fuck up. But yeah, like going to Korea was such an awesome experience. Like it just feels weird. Like I understand like when people, I know this sounds so terrible, but it's like everybody should just go back to where they came from, and go visit.
That's not what he means. He means
that's not
like,
what I mean.
Go visit.
But go back to where you come from. You'll understand like this weird connection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like going to Korea as an adult and feeling this. I was like, yo, I could actually fucking live here.
Hell yeah.
You know? And
I love Korea.
Yeah.
I could live there. I do live there.
I know. It's pretty cool, man. Like I mean, for you too, like, did you feel, I wonder, like, in your case, just because I know, like, ethnically homogenous places are it's a little hard on people who look different and then are of, like, different ethnicities. Did you feel any of that weirdness?
Yeah, I felt that weirdness because, first off, I, like, didn't see any other Black people. Like,
yeah.
Because, like I said, I was living in, seriously, a bubble. Like, I was so busy.
Yeah.
The Idol schedule is insane. I didn't get to see anything. I didn't get to see sites. I didn't get to do anything until I was, like, out of that situation. And then I felt like I actually got to experience Korea. And then, yes, I did see Black people.
Yeah.
And I did see foreigners. And I went to areas where, you know, there was army bases. And then there's all, you know, tons
Everybody
of people.
Black and white there. Like,
yes.
Itaewon, like, Gangnam. It's like, oh, shit, look at all these motherfuckers.
Yes.
They're just like me.
Here they are.
Yeah.
Where have you been hiding?
Yeah.
But, yeah, before that, it just felt like it was just me.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of issues with, like, doing my hair, doing my makeup, and things like that kind of start to make you feel left out when it's like every single morning you're going in at 5 a.m. and everyone's getting their hair done and getting their makeup done, and you're just, like, sitting there in the lobby, like, waiting for them to be like, oh yeah, her. Oh, put her in that room. Oh, and then I do my own hair, my own makeup. So I did, like, kind of just feel like there was no preparation for me. Like, there was no, like, what are we going to do with her? Like, how do we, you know, it's just kind of like, oh, she'll do her own. Okay, great. Do your own. And that just kind of made me feel like an outsider. I guess that's the word, outsider.
Yeah.
And then also, like, the whole thing when I debuted was first Black Idol. You know, there had been, you know, people who were mixed, like, with Korean and Black, or, like, you know, some kind of Asian and Black, but it wasn't during the Idol era. So, during the Idol group era, it was a first, and I didn't really know that it was going to be, like, I didn't know there was going to be so much press on that. Actually, I had no idea. Like, I actually just thought I was going to be like any other rookie, and it would just be not a big deal when I debuted. Like, I really didn't think anything of it. And then, so I was really, like, shocked when it was, like, every headline was that, and I was, like, on the news, you know, and it was like, wait, this is newsworthy? And then the way that people responded to, like, oh, she's ruining, like, K-pop, like, oh yeah, like, if this is the first step, like, she's ruining it, you know, like, they thought I guess it was threatening the idea of there being, I guess, like, on one hand, I understand people liked K-pop how it is, and they're like, I don't want change. I don't like change either, personally.
Yeah.
You know, I get that to some extent, where they're just like, okay, we have enough other music. We want this music. But I just think if you're going to really consider the fact that K-pop has a lot of outside influence, and specifically from Black culture.
Outside influence.
So then that just makes me feel like, you know, you got to consider that, and consider that the producers and the writers behind the scenes, you know, a lot of them are Black choreographers. And then
almost all.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I just think when you look at that, it's not you. Then that change looks a lot less like a change, and more like, oh, just inclusion. And
Did you feel they kind of, like, used you as, like, their token, like?
It's funny, like, my perspective on that changes. Like, at first it was like, no. But then as I'm writing a memoir, which is, like, pretty much done. It's kind of, like, in editing now. And then a novel. And as I write, the novel is more like kind of an idealized version of the story. Like, if things had kind of gone a little more how I wanted them to go. And also it focuses more on, like, my love life, and it's a fun book. But the more that I write those and get into those, my perspective shifts, where I'm like, well, if it was so, like, just for, like, the sake of the music and the diversity, and he thought I was just such, like, a cool composer, you know, then, like, why this and why that? Like, it's like I start piecing things together, and sometimes I do feel a little bit like, oh, you know, the way that it was rushed, the way that it was, like, you couldn't even wait one comeback, you couldn't let me, like, learn a little Korean, acclimate, like, show me around a little bit.
So ideally, how would you have wanted to go?
Oh, ideally, yeah, that's the thing, is, like, it really wasn't built to last. Like, the way that it was done, it wasn't built for, like, long-term success. It was built for, like, a quick hit of press, basically, is all it kind of worked for. And then, of course, opening the door for other ethnicities to come in. So that was cool and all. But I think the way that it was rushed, it just set it up to be like an experiment. Like, how's this going to work? How's this going to go? How are people going to perceive this? How is she going to do her hair? How, it was kind of like the Truman Show. It was more experimental. And if I had, done it the way I would have wanted to looking back, I would have taken at least a year to train. For sure. Minimum. And I never had anyone teaching me Korean. I just taught myself. So my Korean is sucky, Like now I can understand really well. But when it comes to speaking, I know I'm messing up all the suffixes. I know I'm messing everything up, because I just think having a teacher would have been great. So if I had a year of really focused Korean study, learning the language and also learning the ins and outs of the culture, learning what's expected and what's acceptable and what's not. I'm not saying I would always conform to what, the company wanted from me, but at least if I had known what was expected.
It would have been way easier for you to navigate.
It would have been easier for me to navigate.
Is that why you feel like it wasn't made based on longevity? Because if they did, they would have taken the time to develop you that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, if they thought it was something that could really work long term, it would have been done differently.
Because they do that for idol stars. They literally have etiquette classes on how to conduct yourself in front of TV, what to say, how to say it, what you shouldn't say, what you should do, what you eat, how you bathe, how you wipe your ass, But that's the thing too. I think a lot of fans don't really. They don't want no matter how many times they hear it, they don't want to believe it, right? Yeah. They're like, "What are you talking about? They're all individuals. They do exactly what they want to do." No, they don't.
No, they definitely don't.
They've invested millions of dollars into every fucking one of these kids. Yes. And they own their asses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Until their contract is up and they're free, then they can go ahead and continue with. But while that contract is still there, they are the property of that company.
Absolutely.
And no matter how many times these fans, they don't want to hear it. They just don't believe it. They go, oh, they said that because that's what they believe in. Not really.
Not really.
Maybe, but maybe not.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So when I had a conversation with a friend who, they were visibly upset when they found out all this stuff about it was a group. What is this the fucking Big Bang? A couple of those members got into some shit. They're like, I can't believe it. I thought I knew them. What made you think you knew them? You don't know them.
Yeah.
Just like about our celebrities here in the States, you don't know shit about these guys. Some of these celebrities that I know they give a lot of praise to. I've met them personally. They're the biggest piece of shit ever met.
I know.
And
I don't like that. That drives me crazy. When I'm like, no, they're terrible. They're horrible.
Yeah.
These people are terrible. Why are we, looking up to them?
That's what I'm saying. It's I always want people to just separate. It's you could enjoy them for the entertainment value, but when they do something fucked up, don't be surprised because none of you know who they are.
You don't know them, right? Yeah. And that goes a lot of ways where it's people want to, insert a lot of opinions on people who they don't know or insert a lot of just personal feelings onto a celebrity, and it's dude, you just don't know.
I made this tweet where because I liked Big Bang's music, so I was I just wrote this tweet. I was Big Bang over fucking BTS, right? I put that up.
Oh God, you can't.
The rage that came at me. I mean, most people were
I can't believe you did that. You didn't even mean to. You were just
I was I just like them more. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was a big deal.
You weren't trying to get the wrath that was coming your way.
Yeah, if I said listen, dude, fucking scrambled eggs over easy eggs. You think people be fucking mad? And then somebody wrote this thing where they were this girl wrote this whole thing. She goes, you don't know how much they changed my life, blah, 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 blah. And I was I just wrote back, nobody gives a fuck. I just said that I liked scrambled eggs over easy eggs, and you flipped out. Who the fuck cares? Hey, and then obviously sensible people came in and they're yeah, he could whoever the fuck he likes. I wasn't shitting on them. Right. And even if I did shit on them, who the fuck cares?
I thought you were going to say that was your response. I should have known better, but I thought you were going to say the truth of the matter, which is no, I'm really glad that they changed your life. Personally, that's not my experience. I thought that's what you were about to say.
I could give a fuck, all right? I'm glad that's what they did for you. They didn't do that for me. I don't give a fuck. And I think just nowadays too, it's just so hard for people. K-pop fandom, even when I was growing up, was already toxic as fuck.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was bad.
There were HOT members, when they found out that one of the members actually had a girlfriend, they would send death threats to the girl saying that they'll found their addresses, that they would kill them. Yeah. They were going to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And this is back in the day where it was a lot harder to reach them. They wrote the letters by hand. It wasn't a tweet. These motherfuckers had a quill and a pen by candlelight. And they wrote that shit in Korean cursive. No, they had the fucking long sleeve and the fucking brush like this on a scroll. And they're I'm going to go to kill myself. Like, Jesus Christ. Like what kind of fucking shit is this? I remember reading this stuff and I'm like, this is not real. So when I was in K-Town too.
If they mean it.
There was this group called 동방치기, DBSK. And this is when they split and one of the members was there and he was doing his solo debut in the States and it was like in this plaza in K-Town. And I saw this girl go up an escalator looking at him just going, crying her eyes out because she got to see him. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? This is crazy. I mean, we had versions of that too. Like if you look up old clips of people meeting like Britney Spears.
Yeah. For
just
sure.
Fucking
crying.
Bawling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I always think about this because I feel like I've never been like that kind of fan of anything. Like I like Kansas basketball is like the closest thing. Like that's what I'm a real fan of where like my mood is affected if they win or lose, you know? But like as far as like, you know, idolizing and worshiping I mean, I never get to that place.
I'm a big fan of a lot of people, but I never idolize anybody, right?
Right. I guess it's the idolizing.
Because I can appreciate what, like, for example, like, let's say I met somebody like Brian McKnight. Like, Brian McKnight was a huge part of my influence, my music, everything else, right? If I met him, I would be like, wow, this is amazing. I get to see this guy who I consider one of the greatest, like, vocalists, like, musicians ever. But it's not going to wreck me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he's still a human being, and I appreciate the art that he created. I don't know him as an individual.
Exactly.
You got to, learn how to separate that stuff.
Yeah.
K-pop fandom, though, it's like, no, we know I've seen every
Yes.
variety show. I know how they act. I know what
hard.
their favorite food is. It's like, you mean that script that they rehearsed over and over before they went out, and they talked to the company about it before they went out? You mean that thing?
Right.
But, it's just like, I get it. But I just want people to just chill,
But
relax.
see, the thing is, I feel like K-pop fans are the best fans in the world for that very reason. Because I felt like they had my back so hard before they even knew anything about me. Like when the news came out that I was debuting, like a press release came out, and it was like I already had like unwavering support. Like they didn't even know yet if I was talented. Like they didn't know if I could sing, they didn't know if I could rap, they didn't know if I could dance. Didn't matter. They were like, she is repping for us. And we're here for it.
Yeah.
And I like that because I felt like it gave me, like it took a little bit of the edge off, a little bit of the pressure. I was under so much pressure. And it took a little bit off to be like, oh, I have like a built-in, like, okay, these people are riding for me. And it just like gave me, because I'm not one of those people who like is driven by like haters. I know a lot of people say like, I want to like prove the haters wrong.
Yeah.
Not me. I don't know. That doesn't drive me. Like it just doesn't. So I kind of like.
That's healthy. Yeah.
Is it healthy?
That's healthy because I'm the other way.
You're the other way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason,
I
I just
create fake enemies in my head. I'm like, yeah, who's talking shit right now? And then nobody is. It makes me sad.
Nobody? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I like having people rooting for me because it feels really good to be able to like prove them right. It feels good to be like, oh, they had my back and I'm doing a good way.
Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, maybe try that way. I just feel like I can't focus on like negativity and hate because then it's like this dark, like even if I'm proving them wrong, it just feels like now they're in my space.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They're in my, I don't like it.
I joke a lot, but yeah, I 100% agree. Because there was a period where I've talked about on this podcast where every bit of my motivation to do something was hearing something that somebody said negative towards me and then doing what they can do and doing it better and having them come and crawl back to me.
Ooh.
And it felt really good. Because
that's funny.
It's an amazing feeling, but after you've accomplished that, you're left with nothing.
Right.
Like there's nothing left. It's like, oh, you proved them wrong. Now what?
And now you have to look at them crawling, and it's like,
no, that feels great. No.
Are you sure? I don't feel like it feels great because I feel like, man, I should really tell you to like just, but I'm not going to.
Oh, no, not me. And I'm like, oh, you're on your knees. Scrape your knees until they bleed dry, you stupid idiot. But then I'm left with nothing after because I'm sad. So I'm like, oh, but I still want them to be on their fucking knees. Like, I fucking love it, you piece of shit, because you're a piece of shit and you deserve to be there, right? And now I'm glad that you know that you're a piece of shit.
Oh,
but
they all know.
Oh, not my fans. My fans are great. You guys are fucking fantastic. But
he's not talking to you.
Yeah, but like that motivating factor of like, trying to prove the people who you love right, it's like, that's way better.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I think that's way more positive, and it's a longer goal that can last for a longer time,
right,
than obviously what I had. Like it doesn't stay forever. You know what I mean?
It's brief.
Yeah, 100%. Have you ever tried like dating in Korea?
Yeah.
Oh, did you? What was that like? I'm so curious. What the fuck is dating like in Korea?
Well, for me, it was like sneaking around because it's in your contract,
Oh.
Yeah, because, okay, so when you're referencing like, you know, the super fans like going crazy and wanting to kill people and tell them to die. So that can really ruin business. It's not good for business. So think about this. If I was caught dating, I'm not even going to say it. I was going to give a horrible example, but like that could render me a target. I'm not even going to do it. But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I was, okay. Now suddenly all of their fans, which are much more than my fans or my group's fans, our fans, all want to hate us.
Because you took their love
Because we took their loved one away. Yeah, their loved one, whatever, you know.
I didn't know that it was in there contractually.
It's in there contractually because that's the point. It's really bad for business. That was explained to me that it's really bad for business. Like if you did get caught dating a star, now all of those stars' fans hate you. And that's bad for business. You could be done. Like, you're done. Like, especially the girl. Like, I don't think it's that bad now. Like, I hear about idols dating, but even at the time I was there, it was a big deal.
They want the power couple now.
Yeah, they like that now. But no, not when I was there. It was like,
definitely not
no, don't do that. And so I was sneaking around because can't hold me down.
Yeah. How was that like? Could these dudes speak English too?
Yes and no. The one who I was like most serious with spoke pretty okay English.
Okay.
But it was nice because it was more like he encouraged me to try to speak Korean. So you could kind of see like if you, for the fans who really watched me over time, there was like a period where I started getting a little braver and bolder and trying to speak Korean, like even on camera or on a live or whatever. Whereas before, I was just so scared. Like even when I started to know Korean, I was like, I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to mess it up. My accent's going to be stupid. Everyone's going to be like, what is she saying? You know, I just would get in my own head and I would just answer in English, like even if I understood in Korean. So he kind of encouraged me to feel like, it's okay, just try. You know, just the same way, he said the same way that I could understand him in English, he could understand me in Korean. Like maybe the words aren't perfect. Maybe I'm leaving out, you know, little things here and there. But it was enough where you can put it together. And that made me feel better. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, that's true. Like, if somebody who isn't a native English speaker speaks English, I can get it. Like, they might not be saying everything correctly, but I can still get what they're saying, you know, if they know enough words.
Yeah.
So that encouraged me. And so that was good.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how long were you dating this person for?
Well, it started, okay, I have to count. So it started in about... It was like about a year and a half.
Oh, that's a long ass time.
Yeah. But the thing is, we couldn't, there was like a period where like I wasn't promoting, and that's when we got to really like spend time together, and that was really fun. That's when I was being like real sneaky, you know, like leaving practice, like, oh, I'm tired. I'm just gonna go home, you know, and then going out and, you know, doing whatever. And it was great times, good times, really fun. But then when we were both promoting, it's like couldn't see each other, but we would like see each other at the networks. Yeah. But we like, he, this is the thing about him. I feel like he had more to lose than I did, I feel. But he was like, he like, I think it was amusing for him. Like he liked, like.
It was fun. It was exciting as shit.
Yeah. So I think like he would do things where I was like what is wrong with you?
Like you just walk by each other and he would just grab your ass real quick, blip, and then he would just walk away like, what motherfucker, what are you doing?
Let's not go that far. These are still idols.
But they don't know who the fuck it is though, so whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, it was fun because like, you know, we would like kind of find ways to like see each other like at the networks and stuff like that.
How fucking exciting, dude.
Yeah, it was fun. That's why I wanted to write a novel, because I'm like, in the memoir, I do go into it, you know, and I tell the truth on, you know, the situation. But it was so much fun to play with that in like, you know, a fiction, young adult way, because there was so much to pull from like close calls, almost getting caught and like things like that. It just felt like there was a whole story there that the memoir is more about me and my relationship to Korea. And that was just like part of it. But the novel is like really love story.
So you guys were long distance then, because you were going back and forth.
Yes. But like when I left, we like, it was done. Like when I left.
Oh, so you guys broke up because you left.
Yeah.
Oh, was that hard?
Me and breakups is real interesting. I'm going to sound like a sociopath or something, but for some reason, I get over everything in 3 days.
3 days?
3 days.
So you cry it out?
Yeah, if that. I mean, for me, it's more like, I don't know, it makes me sound weird, but I feel like I'm very good with like moving through my life. Like I feel like I'm good with
chapter's
like
closed is closed.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that. Like, and I think it's because like for me, like it was what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't supposed to be something where we're like forcing something and we're far away and we're on different times and he's promoting, like he's a huge star. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't supposed to be agony. It wasn't supposed to be like stress. It was supposed to be nice. And me having someone who I could get along with in Korea when I felt very stressed and lonely and sad most of the time, you know, and that's what it was supposed to be. So for me, it was like, it was so great. And like, it was just great.
Wow, nice. That's not very Korean of you though, man. Korean people, they be going through their shit super loud. They got to make sure everybody. Have you ever been to a Korean funeral?
No.
Dude, that shit is wild, dude. There's like this whole thing where like people will come see like the grieving person. Like if you've ever had a Korean friend and you went to like this like traditional Korean funeral, there's gonna be like the person who's grieving the person and they're screaming their fucking head off.
Okay, well, I want to say when it comes to like serious, for me, I guess it's like I don't need to grieve a relationship. Like if somebody passed away, yeah, I'm a mess.
No, 3 days only.
No.
Alex,
3 decades. 3 decades.
Alex will only grieve your death after 3 days. That's it, and then you're pretty much fucked.
This is all false.
It's gonna be in the book.
No, I'm actually like the far opposite when it comes to like any kind of like health or like, you know, a loved one is in any kind of like problems.
Yeah.
I'm the complete opposite. I can't get over it ever. Like, you know, like I will cry about things that happened.
What if he's like
10
listening to
years
this
ago.
podcast and he goes, 3 days? only 3 days?
I'll probably get a text about that.
I cried for 10 years and only 3 days? I'd be so pissed if I was listening to the podcast. I was like, yeah, she really loved me. It was a whole year. 3 days, huh? Just see you next time. I guess only 3 days.
I love the accent so much. That's my favorite.
It's my dad.
It's so good.
See? Just fucking crying his heart out. And then you just got over it like that. He's like writing music about you and shit. His next album was about you.
It was almost like I was happy. Like, not that we were breaking
this
up.
Just gets worse. This just gets 10 times worse.
No, it's a good thing. It's not that, like, I wasn't happy about breaking up, but I was like, I looked on it so fondly. You know what I mean? Like, I felt so... It's so dramatic how everything went down with me and Korea and K-pop and leaving. Like, it was also dramatic. I had enough to cry about, you know? And that was, like, looking at that and just being like, we were good. Like, we were friends. We were happy. Everything was nice. And it just felt like such a bright spot that I was almost, like, leaving it, like, with a smile.
Like, this wasn't amazing. You just dabbed them up real quick. All right, bro. It was great.
It's been real.
It was good seeing you, man. I'll see you on the basketball course. Maybe we'll shoot some hoops sometimes. One-on-one? Loving basketball? We'll figure it out. Right. Well, so what was so why did you leave the group? And what happened with the whole thing?
I left the group because it was just no longer it. Like, it was no longer, like, I only do things, like, that make me happy. Like, that's just, yeah.
Clearly, you just left this guy in the dust.
No, I didn't. There was no dust.
He has a song about you. It's called Curly Hair Tears.
He's a great writer. Right. Like, that is definitely about her.
Yeah, it's like, I think that's about me. What makes you think that?
Who else had curly hair?
This is my debut. This is my debut single. It's called Light Skin Lever. And I just want to say, just like, who the fuck is this about?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I just do. The reason I wanted to be an idol is because I always wanted to be an idol. Like, I thought being a K-pop star was the ultimate. It was the coolest thing you could be. And when it was, it was. And when it wasn't, it wasn't. And then I didn't want to do it anymore. And I just didn't feel secure in that situation. And I just, I didn't want to be there. Like, I didn't I feel like it's dangerous to be in situations that you don't want to be in. Like, if everything is pointing to, this is not serving you at this point, you just got to go. You just got to stop.
So you just didn't like the experience anymore?
Yeah, it was horrible. Like, at the end, it was, like, horrible. And I was, like, only staying because I felt like I had a point to prove. Like, I felt like proving my supporters right is why I was there. Like, I felt like people who supported me and looked at me as, like, kind of like the representative of, like, them being able to chase their dreams. Like, you know, Black girls or, you know, anybody. Like, guys, like, you know, I like the fans were everywhere. It was like everyone, like looking at me as like the one speck of like diversity there and being like, oh, I can make my dreams come true.
Yeah.
So it felt like for me to leave, I felt like I was letting so many people down. It just felt like, darn it. So now they're going to be like, oh, so that experiment did not work. And no, we cannot.
So aside from like the choreographer, was there anybody else that you were just like, dude, this person's a piece of shit?
Yeah, there were. I had a lot of problems. Like I felt like, I felt like I was not, I don't know, like I felt like a lot of people didn't want to make it work or didn't want to know me or didn't want to like me or didn't want, I just felt like I wasn't given a shot by a lot of people.
Do you feel that if you had been given the time to learn the language that could have been alleviated?
Absolutely. I feel like that's the thing. Like when I say like I wasn't given a chance, I don't even like, it's not like I feel like people were being malicious. Most people. Like I feel like most people, it was just a matter of like, we were so different. And like I said, like for me to be crossing all these boundaries that I didn't know I was crossing and the rest of the group, like having been together for that long, and then I come in and it's like all this press, like first, and it was like all this attention on me. And meanwhile, I'm best friends with the boss and it didn't look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can understand other people's perspectives on it. And I feel like the same way that I felt like judged by them, they probably felt that for me. They probably felt like, oh, she doesn't want to know us, even though I did more than anything. But it's like when you don't speak the same language and you're under these stressful, scenarios all the time.
You can't even defend yourself. You can't even communicate. That's the hard part.
You can't clarify. You can't clarify anything. It's like everything is taken at face value. Everything is just taken at, what the best anyone can interpret it. And if like the situation is already stressful and hard, people aren't looking to be like, oh, well, maybe it's a misunderstanding. Maybe when I think most of our problems were misunderstandings.
Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot too, specifically with, a lot of my Korean friends who've married girls who don't speak Korean, right? Or girls who married guys who don't speak Korean. Whether they're Korean or not, it doesn't matter. Like the ethnicity doesn't matter. The language matters, right? So one of the biggest things my mom always asked me was just like, you don't have to marry a Korean person. They just need to know how to speak Korean so I could talk to them.
That's nice.
Because for her, the culture lies within the language, right? And then the culture stuff can be taught through language and everything else. So with her, the hard part is just like, so my brother, when he had, his girlfriend was white, right? She couldn't speak Korean. Well, their relationship ends at, are you hungry? Are you tired? How are you?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
As much as you try to pantomime stuff or do whatever, there's so many things you'll never ever get to know about our family, our culture, the way I was raised, who my mom is, who my dad is, because the language isn't there.
Yes.
And that's the hard part for people to understand, right? And I think more or less for a lot of like first gen or generation zero, like parents who want their kids to marry within their culture, has more along lines to do with like being able to communicate some things that sometimes aren't really said.
Right.
And the only way you can do that is having a conversation. And they can't have that with their, future daughter or son-in-laws.
Yes.
That's the hardest part about it all.
Yes.
So like even for, my friends too, where I have a friend who didn't get along with his parents and I never understood why. They're like, my dad is so fucking boring. Like, I was like, no, actually, he's really, really funny. You just don't speak Korean.
Yeah.
I was
you
like,
don't get the jokes.
You don't get the jokes. Like, and because he doesn't understand the language, he doesn't understand the nuance, and he doesn't know when his dad's joking.
Right.
Which was really hard for him. And like his dad would say something, he would get pissed because he's only interpreting it at face value.
The nuance. That's the thing, is the nuance. Like for me, it's like when your cultures are so different and you don't speak the language, it's like you're not only just accounting for what's said, you're accounting for what's not said. You're accounting for body language. You know what I mean? And it's like, I didn't know anything about any of it.
Yeah.
And my experience with Korean culture, having, Korean exchange students come and stay with us, it was like, I understood them in the context of them trying to fit in my
100%.
world.
Like I was explaining to him because I was talking to his mom and dad, and I got to know a lot about them, and they like talking to me just because I speak Korean. And so we're going back and forth joking around or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like your dad was like a pretty high up in like the Korean military. He goes, no, he wasn't. I'm like, you're so dumb, bro. You know nothing about your parents. Dude.
You're so dumb.
I was like,
bro.
You don't know shit about your dad, man.
Yeah.
And he goes, he never told me. I was like, he can't tell you. You don't speak Korean, you dummy. I was like,
but how was he raised? So tell me, how was he raised not speaking Korean in his house?
I mean, he can understand. He can understand, but he doesn't understand like nuance, right? So it's like very simple.
But how? If both of his
Korean parents don't really talk to their kids like that most of the time,
right?
Except for my parents. Like I talk to my mom every day.
That's nice.
But once again, I speak the language. But I didn't speak the language as well as I do now back in the day. That's why we didn't have a relationship. I took it upon myself to go learn the language more so I could speak to her. So now we get along really fucking well. I was like, oh, my mom's actually really funny. You know, she's not as much as a bitch as I thought she was. She's just fucking hilarious.
She just doesn't say sorry.
Yeah, she doesn't say sorry. No, she's a bitch.
It's the language barrier. That's why she didn't say sorry.
But she's a goofy, funny lady. She has a lot of wisdom and a lot of things that she wants to add into a conversation. But I just didn't understand anything.
Yeah.
And so for him, the sad thing is, it's like you don't know anything about your parents.
I know, that's sad.
And I have to be there and I have to translate for him sometimes. It's like, for example, like they'll say, like Korean people are very harsh with their words, like the descriptors sometimes, and depending on what area you're from. His mom's
you're
like,
fat. I got that one a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they like a Korean compliment is like, oh, 너 얼굴이 너무 조그마다, like 굉장히 조그마. It's like, oh, your face is so small.
Your face is small. You got
like,
a small
what the fuck? How's that a compliment?
I know.
But that's like the biggest compliment you could ever
I know. I
get.
started to really appreciate it over time.
I was like,
good.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But like they would say things like, they'll just come into his room and it's like, oh God, your room is so messy, right? And he would take it like so seriously. I was like, dog, it's not that serious. This is just like them just talking. Like every Korean parent does that. They just make a side comment. Like you're taking it too literal. Like they're shitting on your hygiene. Your mom doesn't fucking give a fuck, all right? She's just saying it. And then, because she would always tell me, why is he so sensitive? I'm like, oh, this is so annoying.
He's an American boy.
Yeah, he's like an American boy. He doesn't understand this type of stuff. And then, you know, it's also because he never tried to get to know his parents. And then now they're a lot better, right? Because after just like me and a bunch of our friends being like, dude, you're misinterpreting everything.
Yeah.
You know? And now they had like their whole long talk. His dad speaks like broken English, but they've gotten a little better. He's trying to learn Korean now. But now he's like not taking everything so seriously. It's like, oh, this is just how they communicate.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. So like that language barrier is really hard. And I've been
hard.
I've been watching this Korean documentary series on YouTube where they just it's a bunch of foreign couples that are together and they walk around, they document them. And it's so fascinating. It's like one of my favorite things to watch. It'll be like this girl who met this guy like in Chicago, and they fell in love with each other while he was attending university as a foreign student there. And then he moved with her to Korea, and then she's like an animation artist, and then she's crying because it's so hard for her to navigate in Korea because she doesn't speak the language. She can speak Korean decently, but she doesn't have the confidence. And so in a job, like I could speak casually to somebody in Korean, right? But in terms of a formal sense, because I never spoke formal Korean, I don't know how to do it.
Yes.
I'll just come off as a disrespectful fuck.
Right.
You know?
And that's a big deal.
Exactly.
I don't want to be that.
Exactly. So like I'm talking, there's like your regular conversation is like 존댓말, and I don't know how to speak 존댓말 very well, right? So I remember when I was with my lady and I was talking to like some of her relatives, she's cracking up. She goes, why? It's like, you talk to people like you're a fucking thug. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how else to speak. That's how my mom talks.
Like you're a thug.
Yeah. She goes like, you don't understand like the hierarchy in the language. I was like, no, you're 100% right. I don't. I only know how to speak the Korean that I was taught with my mom. And my mom's a piece of shit. So I speak like a piece of shit. So she goes like, no, your Korean's great. It's just like very inappropriate.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And I had no idea. But that language part is so important. Like just having that part of your culture is like, I'm always going to go for it, right?
Yeah.
I love diversity, but I also like the reason why diversity is celebrated is because you know your culture.
Yeah.
So when people always say this thing like, oh, I don't really see colors, like I think everybody should be mixed. 100%, I believe in like diversity in that type of sense, but I don't think you have to throw away where you're from just to be a part of a group.
Right. And you can see color and not in a negative light.
Yeah.
Like, right? Yeah.
You could see it and then appreciate it.
Yes, exactly.
That's the thing that people don't understand.
Yeah.
They go, I don't see color. It's like, yes, you fucking do.
You for sure do.
Because you 100%, I see color all the time, but the difference between me and you is like, I celebrate it.
Yeah.
You know, I celebrate that language. I celebrate what they do and how they are.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part of things, right?
Yeah.
That's why we like traveling and shit.
Yeah.
I still can't believe you lived in Korea. That's nuts to me.
Yeah. And I would do it again.
Have you ever had like any bad dating situations like in Korea? Because I know like culturally it's just so different.
No, I didn't have any bad dating situations. Everyone was so nice.
Yeah.
Like everyone was so nice. They're so polite. That's like one of the things I appreciate most about Korea is that like what at first I really perceived as like coldness that I really didn't like, I realized it was not coldness at all. It was like respect. It was like the opposite. It was like respect and it was like a formality to it. But everybody is polite. Like, and it, like you said, like they're considerate of what other people are perceiving. And at first I was like, everyone is cold. I was no, everyone is just being respectful of each other. And then I really love that. Then I came back here and I was like, ugh. People are so rude.
It's like personal space is a big thing. Dude, I told this funny story on this podcast a while back, but there was a friend of mine who started doing online dating. And it was this Korean guy. She's Taiwanese. Cute little girl. She meets up this dude, and I've been going through her dating profiles stuff, right? And some of these guys are fucking losers. Like, I could not believe, like, the shit that they would say, like, on, like, these Tinder dating apps, what's on their profile.
Like their bio things?
Yeah, it's like, I understand why you're single. Like, you are so bad at this. You're so bad at selling yourself.
Yeah.
And so she meets this dude, and, you know, she's like, okay, where do you want to meet? She goes, well, he goes, I want to meet at Porto's. I haven't had Porto's in a while. I'm like, well, that's a terrible first date place. It's like the most busiest fucking place ever. There's nowhere to sit already. And she goes, do you see what I'm saying? And I'm like convincing her, like, give him a chance, whatever, just try it out. Yeah. She goes there. She goes, it's at Porto's, right? She messages like, hey, I'm here. Where are you? He goes, I'm somewhere inside. Come find me. Strike two.
For sure.
Like, what the fuck?
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I don't have time.
So she's like, okay, whatever. They get coffee together. They sit down, right? And I shit you fucking not. This is like during Corona. 2 cups of coffee. He goes, oh, what are you drinking? And she goes, oh, I got this drink. He goes up, grabs her drink, puts his fucking mouth on it.
I die. I'm done.
He puts his fucking mouth on it, drinks it, and puts it. And she looks at him and she goes, did you just drink out of my drink? He goes, oh, I'm
But did she say it with that face, or did she like play it off? Was she like, did you just drink out of my drink?
Well, I don't know how she said it, but she was like, did you drink out of my drink? And then she said that, he goes, oh, like, you know, I'm Korean. I was like, hold on a second, stop. That is not a Korean thing. Don't you fucking dare. That is not a Korean thing. That's not a Korean thing. You come up and grab somebody's drink and drink out of it, you fucking idiot. Like, the audacity. And he was like, he put it on the culture. I was like, no. I was like, no, that's not a Korean thing. That's what he said. I don't give a fuck what he says. That's not a Korean thing. Korean people respect each other's personal space a lot.
Yes.
Like, it's a very important part of us. You don't just come up to a stranger and go like, hey, what's in there? Wow. You know? And then
no, you do not.
He puts it back and she goes, yeah, like, you just drank out of my drink. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. He goes up and she goes, oh, he's going to get me a drink.
Yeah.
He comes back with a new straw. Just gives her.
No, seriously?
He gives her a straw.
That's so funny. No, I thought for sure he would go and get, I'm sorry, get a new drink. No.
He just gets her a straw.
Oh my gosh,
and then she kind of cuts the date super early and he goes, hey, I had a good time. Like, do you want to see each other again? She goes, no, thank you. She says, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
It was great meeting you. And she leaves. And a couple of days later.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And then she leaves, gets a message. And he goes, hey, I talked to a couple of friends of mine, and I think what I did was really inappropriate. It's like, hold on. He needed to talk to a couple of people. I know,
he needed to consult.
Because I guess in his mind, he thought the date went great.
Yeah. He's like, why doesn't she want to?
And I'm pretty sure he told the same story, but they were like, you did what? You fucking put your filthy fucking Corona mouth on her drink and then just got her a straw, you
And he's
idiot.
like, I'm Korean. They're like, no.
No, we're Korean too. You don't fucking do that. The most craziest thing ever, dude.
That's wild.
I've never got to do online dating, so I never.
Me neither.
Oh, you've never done it?
You say get to. Like, I never got to do that. Like,
I kind of wanted to know what it's like.
I don't. You know, okay, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a girl. I'm scared. I'm scared of everybody. Like, I assume all strangers are going to
When was your last
try
date?
to kidnap and kill me. I love dates. Okay. Last date. Probably recently. Maybe weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe.
So are you just dating for fun right now and just seeing what's up, or?
Yeah, I'm always dating for fun.
Okay. Dating's fucking exhausting.
Dating is fun. Oh.
Oh, shit. Hella different.
We were going in different directions there.
Like, here's the thing, too. Like, I love flirting. Like, flirting and stuff is all great, right? But then, like, the whole dating aspect sometimes gets really tiring for me. Because it's like...
I get it, because you're a guy.
Well, yeah.
I think it's probably harder.
Of course, because I'm trying to impress the whole time.
You have to plan it. You have to, and I love that. I love it. I don't have to think. I don't have to do anything.
That's because you're a pretty little K-pop girl, all right?
So you're put on a dress.
Yeah. But like,
go have some fun.
So okay,
I love it.
What's one of the worst dating stories that you've ever had?
Well, there was one. You know, honestly, I've been pretty lucky in love. I will say, or dating. Maybe not love, but I'm lucky in dating. But there was one guy in New York who wanted to play Guess My Weight. Like, I didn't ask for that game to be played.
What the fuck are you doing?
He was like, how much do you think I weigh? I was like, I don't know. He's like, how tall you think I am? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm really bad at that. I'm like notoriously like, I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how old somebody is. I don't know how much they weigh. I don't know how tall. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So wait, why would he ask that?
I don't know.
What was the point? What was this conversation supposed to go?
I don't know. I didn't know where it was going, but I said, I don't know. And then he goes, okay, let me guess yours. I was like, oh, did you just say that so you could guess mine?
Because he wants to know how much you weigh?
Yeah. And then he goes 5'2", 170. I was like, no.
Are you a power lifter? Do you lift tractors for a living? What are you talking about 5'2", 170 pounds?
5'2"?
My buddy
Let's
Khalif
start there.
is 6.
5'2" is like down. I'm not no 5'2".
Yeah. This guy's terrible.
He was terrible. I don't remember. I don't even know what. Back then, I think I was less scared of strangers than I am now. Like now, in order to date, you have to be accounted for. Mm-mm. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have to know you through, there has to be.
We have to have a connection somewhere.
Yes. We're not doing just the random, no. You might, who knows? You could kill me.
Oh, so you're super scared of that shit, huh?
Yeah, I don't want to die.
What about if you just meet up in a public space?
I don't trust it. I don't trust it. People do stuff you don't even think of. Trust me.
Like say it's the the Americana, like in broad daylight at a cafe outside with a bunch of people.
They put something in your drink, put their arm around you, slide you out of there.
How about you just hold your drink close to you?
Listen, I'm not going to have to, I'm not going to have to hold my drink close to me. I'm going to go on a date and it's going to be fun. And I'm not going to be worrying about my drink.
That is, but you know what happens, right? You know, like stuff like this happens more to people that you know than people you don't know. Like statistically, like women who get sexually assaulted and attacked are from all people that they know.
Yes, you are right about that.
So
I did
you're
actually just read that statistic last night. That's very funny because I was reading that and thinking,
it's like,
my logic is really,
I'm in danger every time.
I've been like so careful and I'm actually putting myself in more danger. But you know what? I'm also a really good judge. Real good.
Then you should be fine going out on these dates.
But I don't want to. I don't want to. I want to go out with someone who's accounted for.
But those are the worst ones. They're the fucking worst ones.
Listen, they don't have to just be accounted for. They have to pass my eye test.
Okay.
And that's a strict test.
Yeah, but strangers,
like I said,
you can meet them
everyone,
up in a public space and look at their face, sit down and be like, pervert,
you're scary.
And then walk away.
Yeah, I could, but you know what? I'm also too nice for that. So that's the problem
so you
too.
Stay there the whole time. You'll watch them.
I'm in danger.
You'll watch them just fucking Cosby
your
drink, and they'll be like, "No, that's Alka-Seltzer. I swear to God, it is."
And I'm like,
"Oh my God,
should I take a sip?" No. Yeah, I don't need to be in that position because like I do get to a point where it's like I don't want to be mean. So it's like I limit my contact with the outside world highly. Like I'm really limited. I'm really like I'm here. We're here.
Are you an introvert then? Because you seem more extroverted.
I don't even know. I feel like I don't know. It's like on TikTok where they're like, as an empath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't freaking know. I like to stay home most of the time, but I also like a really fun date. I like to write all day by myself. And I like to dance all night. And then I like to go on a date for my dinner.
Are you?
That sounded wrong. That sounds like I have a date every single night in order to eat dinner.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean. I mean, I have like...
I haven't paid for a meal in fucking 10 years.
I mean, that's my window of dating. It's like, it can't interfere with my schedule already, but like there's that window of like, okay, I need to eat so we can do dinner.
Now I'm curious, like what is it that you look for in a partner?
Democrat.
Okay, there's one.
For sure. Vegetarian.
Vegetarian.
Or vegan.
Either
one will do.
Has to be vegetarian or vegan.
I'm just I'm just not into watching meat going into somebody's mouth and then them trying to kiss me with their meat mouth.
That is the most pornographic thing I've ever heard in my life. Slightly turned on. Let's keep it going. All right, here we go.
I mean, I've dated people who eat meat. Obviously, the guy in Create Meat.
Of course.
This is a more recent development where it's like, just the more I lean into, my dietary thing, it's just, like you said, it makes more sense. Like, I want to go to a vegan restaurant. So it works when a guy wants to also go to a vegan restaurant.
So when you see somebody cut into a steak, that just makes you sick?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Holy shit.
It's not for me.
Did you do fucking like ayahuasca or some shit to make you feel this way? Because I only say this because I know 2 people who did like shrooms and they became fucking vegetarian.
I'm sorry, I don't even know what we're talking about. What's
like it's psychedelics.
No.
Like,
I've never touched a drug. I've never drank. I've never done anything.
you never fucking drank?
Never drank.
You were in Korea, you didn't drink?
I'm going to say that's another reason they didn't trust me. They're like, what is this?
To.
That's what they said.
There's no fucking way you can do business without drinking in Korea.
Yeah, I know. That's what they said repeatedly.
Oh my God.
I guess that's why I'm back.
That's crazy. So you've never drank alcohol ever?
Mm-mm.
Wow. I almost feel like I had to. So I drank when I started. My first drink was on 14 or 13.
13?
13 or 14, some shit like that.
With your parents?
No, hell no. That was with my cousin. Yeah, we had this Evian bottle and we filled it up with Remy Martin and then we just drank that whole bottle. And I woke up in a stupor the next day. I didn't know what the fuck was happening.
It never sounded good to me. Like right now, that
terrible.
didn't sound good.
Terrible.
So I don't know why. Why?
Well,
I don't want to.
I mean, it's different for people, right? So
I don't like to feel sick.
I like the taste of beer, but I don't like the taste of excessive beer. So like beer, like if I have a beer, it's great. Once it goes to the second one, it tastes weird to me. I don't know why, but that first beer always tastes good. So, and people like being drunk because it makes them feel loose. That's the biggest. So that's the thing. They're like, oh, how come you don't like smoking if you like drinking? Difference. When I smoke, I don't feel like myself. I feel like I can't control the things that I'm saying. I can't, like everything is delayed.
I would love to see it.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But if I'm drinking, I may be like compromised, but I don't know it. So I'm confident as fuck.
Yeah.
So it's such a different fucking feeling. I'm not saying if you don't like drinking, you should drink. I don't think you should. Like if there's no point. I don't drink that much. I'm a social drinker. So like if you go into my house, the only time that there's alcohol is next to the podcast station because that's the only time I drink. But in my fridge itself, there's no beers. There's no nothing. Like
I see.
I don't like if I'm at home, I don't crack open a beer and enjoy it.
Right,
I do it if I'm with somebody.
Right.
It's like it's it's based off a communion type of thing.
Yeah.
But damn, you never drank or anything else. So wait. Vegetarian, vegan is a bonus. Democrat is a must. What else?
Yeah, I like how you said that. Bonus, must, for sure. Really, I just like, you have to be nice. Like, that's really all I care about. I like someone who's like really nice. Like, I don't like someone who's mean at all. I don't like someone who, I don't need to change anybody. I don't need to be your mom. I have none of that. I don't want to do any of it. Please. I do not
what do you
want
mean
to
by
tell
nice?
you what to do. Nice. Just someone who is so kind, who just does for others, and cares for others. I love that. You just got to be caring and kind and like such a good person. I just like to know that you're a good person. Like I watch how you treat people, and if you're rude and you're not, I don't like it.
So you're like walking down the street. This guy like walks his grandma across the street, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm fucking horny right now, dude.
I'm like, 안녕하세요.
And the guy's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, what are you doing? What are you staring at me? It's like, dude, keep walking that old ass lady across the street and see what happens, dude. That's fucking funny. So you like people who are really kind, Democrat, and why Democrat? Why is that so important to you?
I don't want anyone who doesn't hold my genuine. That was great. I want to say general and genuine. My general, like, what sense of right and wrong. I can't be with someone who doesn't share that sense of right and wrong.
Yeah, I could see that. I'll fuck with gay people, but I'll still fuck with somebody who eats Chick-fil-A. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's like, you know what I mean? Because I remember the Chick-fil-A thing happened, and I was eating a Chick-fil-A. They're like, did you hear what they said? I was like, I know, this sandwich is delicious. And I love gay people. And also that person next to me, also gay, eating the Chick-fil-A sandwich. So be cool. So I'm okay.
Yeah, so you're fine.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I just like, maybe it's just because I'm okay with like differing opinions a lot with even the people that I'm with because it creates like good conversation and you kind of like learn a little bit more about yourself when you do disagree. So if I have an echo chamber, I'm not learning anything. So like, for example, I used to date this girl who she was so scared of losing me. So she wanted to be this perfect girl, like this perfect girlfriend, even though I'm in shambles. So if I said something, she goes, I agree with you. If I said something, I'm like, hold on a second. And I remember I had this conversation with her, and this was one of the biggest reasons why I dumped her, was because like I was like, we've been together for 10 months now, and I don't know you. And she's like, why? I was like, because everything you say, you agree with. She goes, I was like, and I genuinely don't think you agree with this stuff. I was like, you are so scared to be yourself because you're afraid that I'm going to leave you if you and I butt heads. And she goes, I just want to be a good girlfriend. And I'm like, that's not being a good girlfriend. Right. Like you are not, I don't own you. You are your individual self. You and I might clash. We might argue. And we might fight or bicker or whatnot, but we're supposed to get over that and then learn how to communicate with each other effectively. But as of right now, even sometimes when I say things out of emotions, I know that I'm wrong, but then you agree with me. And I hate that you agree with
me, right.
You know what I mean? Because I had to step back, and then when I realized like, oh shit, that was kind of disrespectful. Why did I say that?
Yeah.
And I apologize to you, and then you go, no, I was wrong. It makes me feel like I'm like snuffing out your light. Like I hate that shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, so we broke up, and I was like, listen, you need to go find yourself. Like, because you clearly you identify yourself with how happy I am, when your happiness should be based on what you think and what you believe.
Yeah.
So like for me, to have people who are hyper agreeable around me is not something that I really enjoy. I like people who are civil and can have conversations.
Yeah.
Because most of my friends, we disagree on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't mind disagreeing on things like, you know, over easy or scrambled.
Yeah.
Right?
BTS
and Big Bang. Don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just for me, it's core values. It's like core values have to line up. If they don't, it's just 100%. Dissonant for me and I can't. But yeah, I like to debate too. So I'm always down for like a good.
All right. What you like, scrambled or fucking?
I'm a vegan.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Wait,
I like just egg.
Oh, are you no eggs or anything?
Yeah, I'm not right. Yeah, like
or will you switch every now and then?
I've been vegetarian for like a long time, and then I go through like I've been like vegan on and off. Like in Korea, I was vegan for a minute, and it was like impossible. Like
yeah, it's hard,
especially with the
everything
managers
has fucking fish sauce,
bringing
everything
us
has soy
food.
sauce.
Yeah, I was like, okay, like they would, and also they didn't even understand vegan, so they would just bring me those hard boiled eggs.
Oh, Jesus Christ,
you know, and they were like. You know, I'm like, oh, and then I didn't even want to tell them like, oh, it's, you know, I felt like they thought they were doing something good. Like they got for everybody else, like food. And then for me, they would bring me these eggs and I'm like, oh, they think they did a good job.
Yeah.
I don't want to like, you know.
You're just being polite.
Yeah. So then like I would try to like tell them like, oh yeah, like in the future, you know. But anyway, so it ended up that like, you know, I was eating a lot of those eggs. So, you know, I wasn't vegan anymore. But yeah, right now. So I went back to
and then you did, so, but will you eat eggs every now and then if you have to?
I mean, when I was vegetarian and not vegan, like, yeah, eggs were fine. I don't like eggs, to be honest with you.
That's my favorite thing.
I like that. Let me tell you what, though. I like the steamed eggs in Korea.
Oh, like keranjim, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Like, those were great. For me, it's just, like, sometimes eggs always just tasted too eggy. Like, I sometimes just call it, like, a little weird taste where it's like,
See, that makes
animal.
sense. Like, when I talk to somebody like you, it makes more sense for me. Like, some of my friends who are vegan, vegetarian, these bitches lasted 2 months, a month. And I was like, they're like, I couldn't do it. I was like, I know you couldn't do it because you were doing this on some weird moral high ground. Like my vegetarian friends who stay vegetarian is because they didn't like the taste. They didn't
I like the taste of meat.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Damn, so it's like a moral thing for you.
For sure.
Damn, all my friends who did the moral shit, they fucking failed after 2 months.
Yeah, no.
Now they're just more conscious about where they get their protein and stuff. Which I was like, this is probably the easier route for you, right? Yeah. And also too, like in Korean food, aside from like before like American influence and like our affluence, majority of our stuff didn't have that much meat. It was like a lot of it was in a stew or a soup.
Right.
Like Korean barbecue, that was like a luxury. Like you don't just go out and eat a shit ton of meat. It's fucking expensive. Right. But now that we're like in this affluent stage, now there's a lot more meat. But that's why also Korean people are getting a lot more like they're having a lot more health issues. Like they're a lot more overweight and stuff. So
I did appreciate though in Korea how like when we would go somewhere to eat, I never had a problem because with, you know, just the banchan on the side. I could.
Yeah, being a vegetarian is a lot easier, but being vegan is damn near impossible.
Yeah, vegan was tough. But it was more so just because of my circumstance and the schedule. It was like there wasn't a way for me to arrange my own meals all the time. You know, it's like we're here, we're there, we're running on and off stage and we like have 1 second to eat and it's just whatever they're handing you. And so you kind of have to plan in order to really be vegan. You have to be able to like plan like, okay, am I going to have food at this time? Am I going to have food here? Is there something I can eat? But when I was vegetarian, when we would go to restaurants, it was great. People were like, can you, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because I would like have the candy, the leaf, and I'd put I would put the kimchi on the thing and heat it, put it in there, dip
like,
it in the sauce.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. And they were like, you're not putting the samgyeopsal? And they're like, what are you doing? But it was so good. It was like my favorite meal. I'm like, no, I love this. Like warmed up kimchi with the leaf it was so good. And then I have, the sweet potato salad on the side. It's like there's so many things I could eat just on the side. And I love that about Korean food.
Damn, but you're vegan is hard, man. Like, maybe not so much in California.
It's not as hard, yeah. It's like, actually, it's like my favorite restaurant here is vegan. Just, it is. Like, Nick's on Beverly. It's like my favorite. It's so good and it's not.
Tim loves that place too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not because it's vegan just because I love it.
I can't do it just based on the fact that it just limits my variety of food.
You don't like Nix on Beverly?
No, I like Nix on Beverly. It's good.
Oh, I thought when you said you couldn't do it. Oh, I thought you couldn't do Nix on Beverly.
Like, it limits like the amount of food that you could have in the world. You know what I mean? No, I like Nix on Beverly. It's probably one of the better vegan spots you can go to.
Yeah.
Like the amount of food that you could eat in this world is limited. Like if you're just vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah.
That's like the hard part for me because I love food. Like even shit that I don't like, I try 3 or 4 times just to make sure I don't like it.
Yeah.
So like that's like the hard part. Because for me, I'm not a big protein guy. The only reason I started eating more protein now is because I lost a lot of weight. Because I like my rice and my noodles.
Yeah, I do too.
Me
too.
I was in Hawaii and I ate rice every fucking day. I gained 8 pounds in 6 days. Amazing. Happiest 8 pounds of my life. And then I come back, I just don't eat rice, and I've dropped 6 pounds like that.
Rice and noodles are so good.
Yeah, like, it's a fucking drug.
I always do this. If you could only have, I always ask everyone this, rice or noodles forever. Like, you can never have one of them again. I don't know if I phrased that right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's rice or it's noodles?
Rice.
For sure? Just that easily, that quickly?
Because sushi.
Okay, I feel that.
So I could,
but noodles.
But then like the hard part for me is pasta.
Naengmyeon.
I fucking love pasta. Like if I can't have pasta sometimes,
macaroni.
That's gonna kill me too. Like, but I love like donburis. I love bibimbap, kimbap. A lot of my stuff is related emotionally.
Bibimbap and kimbap are good. They're not better than naengmyeon to me or japchae. I take japchae naengmyeon over bibimbap, kimbap.
See, I can't do
Definitely
that
over bibimbap
because japchae is a side dish. I can't just eat a side dish.
I can. Give it all to me.
That's just salty as fuck.
It's so delicious. I literally eat it all the time as a main.
I mean, you could definitely make a vegan japchae easy.
Delicious.
Just have to get vegan soy sauce and you're pretty good. It's good to go.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Japchae is the most fucking annoying thing to make on earth.
I can see that just because like I've had them where like the noodles have soaked up the sauce for too long.
It's annoying because there's too many fucking ingredients. That's why I hate making it.
Will you make it though?
I can if you want. I can make a vegan one. I could probably. Yeah, it's pretty.
Does your lady like japchae?
She likes everything. She doesn't dislike anything. But even for her, she's not vegetarian, vegan, but she might as well be for the way she eats. She doesn't eat a lot of meat, so she kind of eats like greenery and stuff like that. Greenery.
Yeah. Eats that greenery.
Well, guys, that wraps up this episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. Got to know a little bit more about Alex. She likes to date people. So guess what? Get in them fucking pants right now. All right?
Get in there.
Get in there, fucking curly head beauty wonder here. Where can they find you and when are you going to drop that book?
I'm planning on the novel being released in August 2023. I want the memoir to come out after because I want it to kind of be like, this is the story, and then I want people to be like, wait, like what's facts and what's not. So that's kind of the setup I would like. So novel first and then memoir following whatever the demand looks like, hopefully soon after.
Awesome. Where can they find you on Instagram and everything else?
The Alex Reid on Instagram, AlexReid, and TikTok.
TikTok, baby.
TikTok's my favorite. I don't like social media, and I love TikTok.
Okay.
Fairy Godmother Reid.
Fairy Godmother Reid.
Fairy Godmother.
It's going to be in the description box. You'll be able to see.
Fairy Godmother Reid.
Cool. Well, Genius Brain every Sundays at 12 p.m. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.